go ahead and talk about The Wild Robot and give an overview about everything that I've been discussing so far. The Wild Robot is a fantastic movie, something that I didn't plan on reviewing at all, but went ahead and was like, you know what, I should do this because it's a good example of what a good movie looks like. If you went to go see Joker 2 and you were disappointed in watching the Joker 2, well, go watch this movie instead because it'll not only make you feel good, but it just is good critically speaking. The reason it is good critically speaking is because it hits the story beats and it hits the characterizations kind of perfectly. In doing so, it gives very big identities to its characters. And having good identities to the characters means that they have strengths and weaknesses, or their strengths become their flaws. In the case of our heroine right here, they are robotic, and so they do things in a very emotionless state when their whole purpose of living is to just complete a task, and they're finally given a task to, well, become a mother. You kind of see where the flaws start to peek out. Then you have the opposite with the little duckling or gooseling that you have right here, where their purpose is kind of, they are just nothing but flaws, but their flaws end up becoming their strengths. And so the story falls in line with a lot of what good writing has, and the nature of how good writing can just flow and become very natural in the feeling of whenever you're watching this, you can't help but think to yourself, man, this feels really good. And that's because it comes down to the core where it gives us a good plot, and that good plot comes from the premise of these two characters. What happens when someone who is perfect at completing any task does a task that requires or can't help but have imperfections in it? And what happens when someone who is born imperfect needs to become perfect in order to survive? And The Wild Robot takes that premise in a much simpler form. I probably should have said that in one sentence, but it takes that and it runs with it, and it gives you something, a lot of tropes that you may have seen before, but you don't realize you're watching those tropes because The Wild Robot does such a great job at stimulating you and giving you something to look at constantly due to its like kid-like nature. But it doesn't go the Illumination route and make you feel like it's trying to distract you. It's showing you a journey with these characters and giving you something that is exposition without talking to the audience, and really just talking to the characters, and you get to go on this journey with them. Now, what are other people saying about this movie? Well-rounded. You're looking at 8 out of 10s from Metacritic scores, with some people saying they don't like Wall Street Journal saying it has heart but movie feels strictly mechanical. Don't really know what they mean by that, but I do know that the writing is mechanical, but in a good way. I disagree with that because the characters create the plot, and it is a character-driven story with a great plot elements that kind of jut in. And it's a mixture between the two. But then you have other people that mostly are liking it because it's a heartfelt movie. It does make you feel things. It goes based off the book, and you see people here saying like the key to great literary adaptation is not to savagely replicate it, but to find a way to change everything from the new medium except the heart. So maybe they take some liberties from the book. I did read this one that gave it a 0. Basically, he was just upset with the absolute nature of the cartoonish version of the movie, that why are animals fighting robots? Why are robots not understanding that animals aren't humans? And then you have over here on Rotten Tomatoes, 98%. Definitely agree with Rotten Tomatoes right here. A lot of the people and stuff like that, people are enjoying this movie. Critics are kind of raving it. And as of right now, I would have to say The Wild Robot has to be probably the best movie I've seen this year. Yeah. I definitely think it would have to be considered the best movie I've seen this year, which is why I would have to give The Wild Robot a 10 out of 10. Until next time, guys, play nice.